a blueprint talk. So my name is Short, and we're going to go over the intro and the philosophy, and then we're going to go take a deeper look into blueprints. So the intro and philosophy. Level scripting has always been done through in-editor in the Unreal Engine. So since the very, very beginning, it's always been in-engine. It's never been text-based at the moment. So it's always been meant to be very accessible and quick. That's the real focus. And we started with that, and over time it has proven to be so powerful and desired. I mean, it really opened so many doors that it grew and grew and grew, and which brings us to blueprints. So, in Unreal Engine 1, we had this event and tag-based system. So essentially, all you had was you could place actors in the viewport, and you had to do visual scripting in the viewport itself. So something floats around in space, something else floats around in space, and you had to connect the two between. So it's kind of the same idea, but simplified and in the 3D world itself. You connect the event, you connect the tag, things were connected, that was it. By 2006, though, by Unreal Engine 3, we had the first visual scripting coming in. And this continued. It was only level scripting, so it was only the level that had the visual script attached to it, so you couldn't do anything else with it. But the idea started to shape. And people figured out, everyone in the community and developers and myself included, we all figured out like, oh cool, you can actually make a game with it. So I made a game with it, for example, at some point where it was only level scripting, so we had to build the game in one level, and you're going to hate me for it as a programmer, and then we copy-pasted it between each level with the exact same script. But it worked, and a lot of people started doing that. So by Unreal Engine 4, it was really clear we had to take this to the next level. So Blueprint came in, which was Kismet on steroids, essentially. If you look in the code, it's still called Kismet v2 here and there, so that's where that comes from. It's no longer tied to a level. It could derive from any class. It can be standalone. It has components built in. It has a lot more functionality, a lot more user-friendly. It's just a lot more powerful all the way through. And that is Visual Scripting System Blueprint. So it's a huge step forward from where we were in 2006, and it's also something that we've been doing for pretty much, more than a decade now? Well, more than a decade working with visual scripting. Okay, so it's got to be accessible, it's got to be versatile, it's got to be powerful for anyone in the team, not just for programmers. It's got to empower the whole team. It's going to make a maximum impact. It's not meant to replace the programmers. It's meant to free up the programmers and engineers from simple stuff like, hey, can you change this particle on the weapon or something? It's meant to be easy to understand, fast to iterate on. It's meant to invite experimentation and involve the whole team again, not just a couple of people who know how to program. And it has to hold up at a large scale. So those are all the requirements and everything we've been working towards in the last couple of years. In essence, you could say it's something like this. You got C++ underneath the whole thing. So it is tight, very tightly tied to C++. There's a framework classes that were also discussed in the programming class. So the framework classes, they impact both C++. By extension, they impact Blueprint. So that's all there. Replication, as is present in C++, is present therefore to Blueprint. So there is that whole thing floating above it. There is inheritance. We're inheritance-based, so classes inherit from other classes. A Blueprint would therefore inherit from C++. And inherit a functionality that was done in code. So it's really a seamless mix between the two. There's data features to store data and have C++ or Blueprint read data from certain assets. And then there is Blueprint in itself, which has components in it. It's got a timeline. It's got other core Blueprint tools. It's a lot of different things, but just to put it in 3 categories and keep it simple. There's additional features because, again, there is a lot of different things there. And it could be used for editor scripting as a side thing. Eventually, Blueprint is not just a scripting system. It's not just there for gameplay scripting or anything else. It's very extensively used in the whole engine. That's a key point to understand. Even if you're not a scripter or a programmer, I think you need to understand some degree of Blueprint because you can't avoid it. No matter what part of the editor and the engine you touch, you're going to hit on Blueprint somewhere, right? So there's 7 tools, or more than 7 tools, that currently use Blueprint in one way or another. And then we also therefore need to talk about Blueprint to Blueprint communication and the way Blueprint is compiled, executed, and some debugging and performance features. So it's a substantial system.